Thank you so much, my colleague members, who make sure that I am also part of the session. Technology is always the one which you cannot learn within 1 hour or within 1 year. It is just a process which has to go on. If we are giving a quick solution in MS Excel, it doesn't mean, okay, we are just learning somewhere and giving the solution. It's as simple as it. Okay. What exactly the real automation and what small things you can do at your office which can save time? Probably that's what I'm going to demonstrate here very quickly. Just give me. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, whatever you are seeing here on the screen, is everything is a cloud. In fact, before we close the session, I'm going to share this link of the cloud to you. You can see the real data of all of us. Not only that, whenever I take any Excel file now, if you refresh the link, that will automatically update there. That is what in the real time. In fact, I had any number of calls at the time of COVID, where offices got shut down. Okay, they are not even allowed to go into the office or their campus or their complex, but they want to urgently send a document which is there in their server, in their physical system. Then we help a lot of people to move from the traditional server to the cloud server. Before just me going into the session, let me ask you this question. I request everyone please participate. Okay, it's not something we are going to evaluate, but I just want to know what exactly it is. How many of you are using a cloud system at your office? Very good. Yeah, 30-40%. How many of you are using physical server or making one computer at your office as a server at your office? Oh, I think 60% around. 10%, always whenever I ask people to raise their hands, the number will never match with the headset. So 10% of the people really are in the doubt. He's talking about cloud and tradition. I don't belong to anything. Okay, because whenever it is required, I'll take a document and will address it. Traditional servers, whenever you talk about, when a document is required, for example, you just step into the income tax office, he is expecting a document from you. Then what you are going to do? You'll take a phone, you'll call your office guy who is there, and you will ask him to forward to the email, and again you are going to share the email to the officer. Instead, if it is a cloud, okay, you can do the job in a much more simple way. As I said, I'm not going to talk much towards technicality, but just wanted to show you what are there in the market. Because unless you explore and you experience, obviously you cannot effectively use. So these all are the three which are very leading in the market. If you ask me what I am using the Dropbox. I'll just tell you how it is helpful to me. It is a Dropbox license of 1500, 1600 rupees, 2 terabyte you'll get it. It is like a folder. There is a folder called Dropbox. Inside, how you are keeping the files in the folder, you can keep it. Okay, so you can have all the office files there. Don't worry about the security. I will tell you security aspect a little later. Whenever I want, let's say in my office 5 staff are there, what I used to do, recently we changed it, what I used to do, I asked them to download the Dropbox free, which is almost like 15 GB. So whatever the folder which is required, I'll just simply right click and share with them. Then this folder will appear into their folder, their system. Their work, the folder is real time for both of us. I can see what the work they are doing and they can see what are the document I am keeping there. We are also doing the third party. We are sending the same data or same link to the client. Client need not to send us a mail. When it is a regular data, we can put it into the Dropbox. And it is a real time. In my phone, I can simply download it and it is a simple mobility. Wherever you want, you can just get the document in just 1 minute. Okay, less than 1 minute, click of buttons. When it comes to the security, in fact, recently it happened in my office almost 3 to 4 months back. One of the 5 very important client, we are not in a position to trace. Obviously, when a file gets deleted, no one will tell that I delete. Okay, everyone will say key. The final finger come to us only. Okay, so it's not one folder file. Almost last 5 years data we are keeping there is almost like 350 plus files. Thanks to the Dropbox, we are having a by default 30 days retrieval. It keeps our data deleted file for 30 days in the trash. You can restore. And I thought this is one of the very important things which is required. Then we improved, we have taken an extra license which can store for 90 days. Of course it is very important. You may not realize now, when you want to have a real data, that time if some folder gets deleted, you are even open to pay 10,000 rupees for that. Okay? And in fact, this is pure my experience. Chartered accountants spend very little money on the technology. Because I have been in many places throughout India for taking seminars. Whenever I say what the Excel you guys are using, I doubt not even 2013 or 16 version. If I ask the same question, if you know what is the version, how many of you are using the Office 365 subscription model? Yeah, again 20 to 30%. That means 70% are still using the old version. Even 2013 I feel is outdated because today is 2022, 10 years outdated. Okay, spend a little money on the technology, it pays for you, I am telling you. Okay, so you can choose any of these things. If you go to the Office 365, OneDrive is by default you are going to get it, but Dropbox is something which I always prefer having a number of options. I'll just run through some of the tools. Okay, Microsoft Excel, Power BI. First of all, you should know what tools are available. Later, exploring is your part. I'm just trying to introduce you what tools are there, which are helpful for a chartered accountant. Microsoft Excel, Power BI, Tableau, QuickView, ITR, ACL, R, Python, SAS, 9 and Alteryx. I'll tell you why I kept Microsoft Excel on the top, because this is the application which you open and close almost every day 10 times. Even at your office when you just go around your staff, till that time maybe Crickbuzz or Facebook is there, immediately they do alt tab. You know what is there in the alt tab? One big Excel file, some big numbers are there, you put a cursor there as if he's doing some great work. That is what the Excel we are using. Okay, so you can do any number of things if you spend time. I get any number of messages. Is there any way we can upload the document into the Tally, everything will happen automatically, nothing will happen like that. You should spend some time. For everything, it's a solution. You should identify in your office what is the pain area. Start automating small items. Today, after listening to the session, you cannot go to your office and implement everything. That's not possible. You should have a clear milestone. Next 2 years, one after another, I want to automate. That's the only way we can automate the things. These all are the Excel latest features. If anyone, okay, if you are aware of all these, please raise your hand, any person in the class. Okay, I am aware of everything what is there on the screen. Surprise. Okay, 30% are using Office 365. These all are part of your latest version and many are introduced almost 10 years back. Data types, one of the very important features. H-stack, V-stack. If you have a data of 20 different Excels or 20 different sheets, earlier if you want to copy paste in one Excel, what you need to do? Simple, Control-C, go there, paste. Now you can simply use a H-stack, if it is a horizontal data, V-stack, equal to V-stack, open bracket, just select all the data sets, enter, everything will merge automatically. Do you know what is stock history? You should know at least as a finance person. Okay, so let me go to my Microsoft Excel. I'm just introducing you. I'm not going to give hands-on here because of the time constraint. I just would like to tell you how great these features are. Let's say for example, there is a USD. Okay, I want to have equal to USD by INR. I want to know the currency as on today. What do? Simple, there is a function called stock history. I'll just select this script. Okay, I want to put a start date 01. Instead, let me have a start date of first today minus 15. It will go back to the 15 days. I want to have any date today. A very simple function, stock history. Don't worry, this is not available in your system because you are using the old version. Okay, this, comma this, comma this. That's all, you don't do anything. It does the job for you. Okay. Generally, we all suspicious all the time, any data, go and check it out. Absolutely, this is correct. You need not to cross check. From where this is taking the data? For example, if I want to go back for the last 365 days, do you think it's going to give me 365 days data? Of course. When you have a assignment where currencies are very important, how quickly it pulls the data. For example, I want to know SBI, State Bank of India. You just go and cross check. It absolutely taken the State Bank of India NFC rate. Okay, you may not appreciate now because there may not be an assignment on this. Tomorrow once you get an assignment. In fact, we realized the importance of this when we were filing ESOP returns. Many days they wasted. Okay, so we need to have a currency rate on that day. In those cases, very simple, small tools. Not only this, data types which introduced almost 5-6 years back. There is an SBI I have taken. I can simply go to my data. If you connect to the internet, there is an option called data types. In that, let me click to the stock. It's going to connect to my NFC master data. Okay. Then it is going to give you any number of details as a card. What data you want? Do you want 52-week low or 52-week high? Do you want the data? Don't worry, click it. Or else you want everything, don't worry. You just keep it, this dot, all the details. If you are having 100 companies for the analysis, don't worry. Select 100 companies, click a button called stocks. It's going to give you the entire information, as simple as it. I am sure many of us, how many of you are aware of this feature already? Okay, I need to count it. I should spend some time. Okay, it is like 7-8 people. Very simple feature which is inbuilt. This is a small automation which Excel has already given it for us. And I'll just run through the important things of this. The beautiful concept, ETL, I'm sure you may not appreciate this concept today, but I'm sure in next 5 years people will talk about this. Okay, all the tools in the world are concentrating this because the work what we are doing will definitely for different clients, same work. Then if that is the case, why I need to do the same work for 10 clients? Why can't I extract one client data, do the transformation, let a system record it, and let me take the data out for my analysis. Next time whenever I put the data in the folder, it does the work automatically. Very simple. Okay. Do you know there is a Power Query which is a ETL, which is part of your Microsoft Excel. I'll just show you one small transformation which I have done for the currency rates only. Okay, just as an example, let me open this. This everything is MS Excel, don't worry. This is generally, we take the currency rates from the XC website, which is the Reuters company. If you want to get a currency rate for a particular date, you have to go to this link, then you copy paste, then on that day from the web you need to take it. Otherwise you need to connect to the RBI website and different websites, whatever the case it is. For example, I want to have a currency rate, for example from 2021 for 21 days. Now what I'll be doing? Very simple. I'll just go to the data. I'll refresh it. Just check it out right here. It is going to the web for each and every link, getting the information. It is only filtering for that USD and it's going to paste there. It takes little time because first time I'm doing, next time it will be faster because first time it has to store into the cache. It will not even take much time. Let me tell you, to learn this is not a rocket science. I'm sure this is much easier than our accounting standard, auditing standard and income tax act. It will not take much time, maybe another 1-2 minutes. It will just give the entire information there. I'm just trying to tell you how great the tool for which you need not to pay, you need not to subscribe, which can help you out, which is MS Excel. Okay, it is just trying to take, if you see the message at the bottom, running the background query, So let us see how much time it will take. Bear with me for another 1 minute. It's doing the back end work. It's not a macro. It is not a macro. Macro is a old style of writing the code. Now there is a powerful engine at the back end is a Power Query. Okay, start learning it. From where we need to learn. Again the question. Institute will not give the sessions for everything. Go to Udemy, 400 rupees. Recently I subscribed one, I was just browsing the Udemy. Okay, before it come, I'll just show you how great these online tools are these days. These online courses, much cheaper. This is a simple app called Udemy. One, if I'm not wrong, Russian trainer has given a video on automating the financial reports using Power Query. Okay, I enrolled it. It is almost like 1.5 hour content. End to end, how to prepare the financial statements she explained using the Power Query. First time when you are doing it, it will definitely take time. You need to spend at least 2 to 3 days to understand, make it a systematic way. Next year, just put your trial balance there, it does the work automatically. Okay, it is 400 rupees. Now maybe the price may go to 1000 or 1500. It is just a cheaper cost. Okay, so resources are there and number of places. I'm sure you all got the information. If I simply change this, I don't want USD versus INR, GDP. Okay, I'm not going anywhere for your information. Let me refresh. Okay, it does the job this time, I'm sure, much faster than earlier because it already taken the information and kept it back in the cache. Of course, it updated GDP. Okay, this everything is Microsoft Excel. Another thing, in fact, which helped me a lot in one of the reconciliation assignment which I was doing for one of the bank. It is like 2 data sets reconciliation, but huge data. It is almost like, 2 million data sets of data. It is basically any data is first data set, second data set. This is what the reconciliation statement, extract of each item. This is what any reconciliation in the world. Thanks that finance word is same everywhere throughout the world. If a person develops something at USA, you can buy it and you can customize it. Reconciliation word is same everywhere. This is simply doing a small reconciliation. For example, if I remove this, put at 1. Obviously, this figure has to change here. Now I'll simply go to the data, I'll simply refresh. What it happened? Of course it updated. Have you seen that? Earlier this was not 1 lakh. Okay, now let me change back, maybe it's from 500 or 1 lakh. I'm sure you can see it, this 1 lakh will get reduced. Just check it out. Others, if you add something, maybe let me take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or else let me take this, 9. If I'm taking 100, it should be part of my data. Just refresh, it is automatically adjusted. Small reconciliation. Next time, whenever I have 2 data sets where I want to do a reconciliation, I'll do nothing except copying, pasting in the 2 tables. I'll refresh, my work is done. Again, let me tell you, to develop this is very simple than your assessment and reassessment. Okay, than your income tax act. Very simple, small tools. I'll not take much time. Another small case study. This is a PDF statement. Okay, if you at all you find any names, excuse me. Okay, just for the example you have taken. Bank statements are something which you cannot avoid. It's because we all are in the practice. When you have a huge data, sometimes the bank statement irritates us. Statement may run into 30 pages and 40 pages. Okay, and you can simply take the data. You can go to get data. Thanks to Excel, it has given me an option to import the data from the PDF. I'll tell you how this entirely works. It is going to recognize page-wise data in the Power Query, and whatever the data which is already in the tabular format, it's going to recognize. Okay, that means if you scan something and put it and import it, just want to check the Power Query, okay, it will not work. It's going to give you just as a raw data. But whenever there are tables, now let me take simple table. What I'll be doing, I'll just go to my folder and I want to take HDFC statement. This runs into many pages. I least bother what tables it has given. I'll simply select this and I'll click transform data. This is, I extracted the data. Now I'm going to transform it. Let me expand all these tables. Let me filter for tables because I don't want the page data. I don't want this everything. Let me delete it. The beauty part of this Power Query is right side all the steps are happening. Okay, now let me expand this data. Don't worry, everything will happen. Just load more. Click OK. There are a lot of nulls, right? I don't want null, so uncheck null. Okay, let me click OK. I want to have a proper headers. Use the first as a header. Right side, every step is happening. Now I can simply close and load. It will come to my Excel. But Sharon, anyway, what the steps you have done, I can also copy it and paste it to my Excel. I can do. That's not the job here. If I go back to the folder, keep it into the next month bank statement, you come back and refresh. Because you already did all the steps, it recorded. Simply if you change the source, all the steps got recorded, it's going to keep it. Let me tell you one case study which I handled. I think one of the friend got some CBI case and it was a huge bank statement. I think if I'm not wrong, it was Vizia Bank or some bank where you cannot even convert it to Excel, that is in the HTML format. Huge bank statement for all the sister concerns from the same bank, not in Excel. But they want to do some analysis. That time I understood how important the Power Query is. We made a small model from the bank statement. In the description, we did some text analysis. Every bank statement we used to keep in the folder, refresh, the entire analysis comes, then copy paste special value, then go back, keep it into the second one, it does the work automatically. Okay, this is the power of Microsoft Excel. And for example, if more than one table is there, you can recognize. I'm sure recently you all might have filed income tax returns for ESOP's case, for all speculation income or intraday. I'm sure ICICI console report is there. Whoever maintaining a demat account is ICICI. I told you, right? It recognizes all the tables. I can simply take which table I want. Check it out. I'm sure this table may be important for me. I may go into the table number 10. This is also maybe important to me. I can simply copy it, paste it. If you make it this as a small model, any banks, any person who is having an account with ICICI Bank, ICICI demat account, put it into that folder, refresh, all the things will come automatically. Not only ICICI Bank, any bank. You can just make it. Now, I'll just show you another, it's not a demonstration. Yeah, before me handing over to Sir, Idea tool, I don't know how many of you are using one of the great tool. Okay, so demo version is available on the ICI website. Till 1000 records it can capture, where especially you can have a great sampling. Okay, we all CAs are 90% going for a random sampling. We don't go for systematic sampling or stratified sampling. Okay, this is a great tool where you can just click the buttons where you can get it. If you go to the next level, I'm sure whatever the session which I'm talking, these tools after 3-4 years, people talk it more loudly. Okay, now it is only one session or half an hour. Maybe after 2-3 years, this is going to be one full day session. So this is one tool I want everyone to explore. Alteryx. I'm sure EY is using this. In fact, they are doing n number of models. Every day there is a team of Alteryx experts. They prepare a model. The meaning is, this is one of the beautiful audit tools. It is as simple as it. They prepare the models. That means if they go to a client office, how many tasks they are doing? In 10 tasks, 4 tasks are rule-based and 6 tasks are judgmental. Okay, then they leave apart the judgmental. Rule-based, they make a model like this and they put it to the intranet. Whoever throughout the world working for EY, they can simply take this model, they'll put the input, automatically the output will come. All the auditing related. Okay, this is one probably you can take little time and understand, since because 3 speakers has to manage 1.5 hours, so I'm just closing my session just to give you the importance of the technology. So go and explore. It's not one day job. You need to spend n number of days, but you have a milestone. If next month at least one thing you start automating, I'm sure you can do a lot of wonders at your practice. Thank you so much. Let me hand over to Professor.
just demonstrate one or two simple ways of using the bank statement for filing the returns. Just from, we know how to convert, now Sharan has demonstrated, into Excel. After it comes into Excel, standard narrations, if you can define it. The narrations are those narrations which are as per the ITR or GST, whatever it is. And then you can convert that using pivot table, then process it for further tax filing. Just in a moment I just do it. Yeah. So this is the standard bank statement converted from PDF. Then this is a place where you can ask the client to write down the pick from the drop down, and those names are as per the standard ITR, P&L or balance sheet, whatever it is. So once this is there, now you can convert this into pivot table. Then it comes as a profit and loss account or whatever it is. Such a simple. So because most of the clients come in the last moment, and then we need to accommodate. But if we try to accommodate next time also, he'll come, sir, we really benefit Manchukun sir. Last time announcement at 10:30 goes, sir, 11:30 goes, sir. That's a different, but still, there are tools like what we have seen now. With that, we can automate to any extent. Meaning is a data which is already there in digital. Use the digital tools and then we can go forward. This is one issue. Then another one. So this is Excel to Tally XML. I hope many of you might be using it. If you are not using it also, you can start using. These are available freely in the market. Take that Excel sheet or take that bank statement or put it into, you define what is debit and credit. You define purchases, what is debit and credit. You define GSTR 2B, GSTR 1 into it, define it. And then you run a macro, fill this, and at the end, convert this into an XML. Once this is into an XML, then go to Tally and pull it. Then books are ready. But when you are doing it, when you define the ledger accounts, always remember, define the ledger accounts as defined in your ITR, so that again one more reconciliation you can avoid it. This is one thing. Now I leave it to Siva Prasad sir. He is doing a course on data science in ISB, and he has also spent a lot of money on automations and all. Just for a while, if it is tax practice, if it is for a tax practice, he has done it on his own. The beauty of that is, there is a section. Then definition. Definition 230. So for that 230 composite supply, what are all the other related acts, rules, notifications, case laws, etc., etc. It's simple. Some data is already there in digital form. Put it into this form. Now, in what way this will be useful for you? Now, when a client comes, sits before you, and if he asks a question, why don't they Google up there and Google link and but he doesn't have this kind of tools. And the total is automatic. And there are many, I know at least 4 or 5 chartered accountants who are working on these kind of things. I said what I am trying to say again and again, bottom line at the cost of boring you is, let us all come together, start using, start motivating them, start encouraging them so that they'll go forward. I am not asking them to contribute your money to them. I am only asking you to start using it. We all can develop. And like this, you have tons of data into it. And myself and Sudhir sir were talking about ARs, put it into Excel and then classified into industry-wise, section-wise, whatnot-wise, classified it. So that's useful, the tool is useful for search, and then any person who comes with it, immediately you can talk about, yes, this is there, you can do or you cannot do it. But to search all that, it takes hell lot of time. Okay, keeping that aside, now we have seen the biggest challenge is there are too many products, integration is missing. Now you will see all products into one, under one umbrella. I request Sir, Prasad sir to continue with this.
Very good evening to one and all. And I thank the organizers, the ICA, for giving me this opportunity and to be a speaker with two legendary personalities like Premnath and Sharan. And we have been almost spending a lot of time on the same topic of automation for quite a long time, maybe more than 10 minutes. So we had made certain demonstrations, certain hands-on workshop we did for bank audit. I recollect all of that today. Now, yeah, automation. So anything that had a set routine can be automated. Sharan ji had said one thing, except for the judgmental or the subjective issues, we can automate almost everything. And with AI, ML, even the subjectivity is also getting automated. That is a beautiful part of it. Okay. And one small word, rather than an introduction, it had got a bearing to the context. I am into data science with ISD for the past 1.5 years. And I am looking at the data science from the very close quarters, all the algorithms, the machine learning, the robotic process automation and the blockchain. It is really spine-chilling that the conventional audit is no more relevant. So anything that is not relevant, what the theory of evaluation says is, if something is not functional, it will go extinct soon. So that had what had happened to the tail, even to the appendix is going to happen. So the power of automation is catching up soon. And when Premnath sir had said that, my good friend Sudhir had invested a lot and spent a lot onto the automation part, I am really surprised that even as a community we are working in silos. We don't know what good work is happening within our own community. Okay. But definitely necessity is a mother of invention, and whenever we see the necessity, we get motivated to work on that, to automate. So I have been working on this automation project for 2.5 years from now. And when myself and Premnath sir were sitting in the Asman Mahal, the BSNL quarters one day, so there was a discussion. I still remember it very vividly. That on one side, the investment or the monies that are going into the automation when it comes to our client side is huge. And when we are supposed to exercise some sort of a supervisory or oversight kind of a function on them, we are supposed to be better equipped. The police has to be better equipped. Of course, I am not equating audit with function with police. But then when it comes to the surveillance or the supervisory control or an overall check or attesting something to be true, our equipment, the way we have to be equipped has to be more powerful. They have gone into from traditional single entry to automation to ERPs to cloud-based to whatnot. Okay. What is the commensurate development that had happened in the audit function globally? When it comes to audit, it is much more complicated than accounting. When it comes to audit, it is much more complicated than accounting. When it comes to audit, it is much more complicated than accounting. When it comes to audit, it is much more complicated than accounting. When it comes to audit, it is much more complicated than accounting. I started my audit in the year 2006, and at around 2009 I used to be called Excel Sivaprasad. I'm so fascinated. I developed a Kaun Banega Karonpati in Excel through Visual Basic Macros. Okay, but then it couldn't fly, it couldn't take off after that because there are certain limitations. At least now that Microsoft Office 365 had been to cloud, collaborative editing is possible. Otherwise, Excel is a very big silo. Okay, we don't know which version of the Excel is the latest one, and we don't know what is happening, and we cannot put a lot of controls in that. But when we see the way the audit function, the accounting function is becoming or growing with the sort of the equipment, it is huge. And the way the government knowledge, I borrow from the concept of Premnath, the way the government function had been equipped now is huge, unbelievable. Okay. We are all witnessing that the AIS, the Annual Information System of the Income Tax, it is compiling bank account statements, PAN card, Aadhaar, revenue records, okay, our travel record. So even the data that even our own client is not aware of, income tax department is aware of. And then they are applying machine learning big way. Okay. And if I get an opportunity, I wish to bring the learning of the data science that I am into for the past 1.5 years to the chartered accountant fraternity. In fact, I look for that opportunity because the clustering techniques, the automated anomaly detection, the system learns. So if you catch hold of one mistake, the system rapidly puts up the score. And then with every defective voucher or with every defective entry or with every fraud that is detected, the system develops the hunch in such a way that it is able to predict the next possible mistake. When the government is investing big way, and I tell you, government is one of the major sponsors for the data science course. Pharma and the finance industry and the government, they are investing big way into data science. And if we see how many provisions will stay and how many provisions are not going to stay, we can easily make out why there is a provision for there shall not be any cash entry only to establish authenticity. Why there is a TDS provision in the Income Tax Act only to ensure that the identity of the other person is established. When the identity of the other person is better established through GSTR2, what more purpose is there in the TDS section? Both are doing the same. So at least scrap GSTR2 reconciliation or scrap TDS. And this is going to happen. Acts are going to become lean, very, very lean, in such a way that there is no more function because the scrutiny mechanism is getting automated rapidly. Anyway, and two more things that I want to introduce before I go into the automation which I am proposing or putting in front of you. Institute had come up with, hope all of us have been through this document, the audit quality maturity model. So this document goes on to measure quantitatively the quality of the audit. It's very, very quantitative, it's very pinpointed, and somewhere in the document it is written that the allocation, the empanelment mechanism is going to be tied up with this. Okay, somewhere in the document it is said that it will be recommendatory for the first year and it will be made mandatory. Of course, it may get deferred for one more year, but then, yeah, I could look at it. The above mentioned collaborative approach will be recommendatory initially for 1 year and after that it will become mandatory. So if you see that, the audit, how they are measuring the audit, revenue from the audit and the assurance functions and all, and then have the firm got audit manual containing the firm's methodology to ensure the compliance. Has the standard formats been communicated? Whether the staff are properly trained? Whether there is a documented approach of an audit? Whether there exists a service delivery and effort monitoring mechanism in the control. And there are 4 marks, 5 marks for each of the steps, and we are getting a quantitative score of the quality of the audit that we are going to, that we have already performed or going to perform. So imagine if that approach is going to come, okay, it is not class 1, class 2, class 3 and the empanelment approach, I believe. And again, there is another document by Institute by name Digital Competency Maturity Model. The version 2 had also been released. What it says is, as a firm, what is the amount of automation that a chartered accountant firm is expected to put in place? Okay. And this is also very, very objective and very scientific manner in which the institute had ventured to put the most qualitative things into quantitative approach. So this is how it goes, right from the attendance system, leave management system, biometric based attendance system, whether there is a biometric based attendance system in the office or not, whether there is a centralized file storage system or not. And this is also one of the motivating documents on the journey that I am going to put before you. So somewhere like 2.5 years back, I thought of what are all the pain points. Sort of Premnath sir had in fact put a lot of the pain points. He had not only addressed the pain points of the chartered accountant firms, he has also addressed the pain points of the firms that venture to automate. So I felt it is like it addressed exactly to me. Okay. And we had touched upon one very important point, that to develop a software for chartered accountant firm is very difficult. Because on what we have to develop? On materiality definition, or on sampling, or on random sampling, or on data analytics, or on automated drafting, or on documentation, or on evidence collection, or on work allocation. There are at least 15 to 16 modules which require a dedicated software for each of those pain points. And when such a kind of a magnitude, such a kind of a system, such a kind of a magnitude is addressed over a very smaller number of recipients, it is very difficult. It is not economically viable. Okay. So I am thankful, sir. You have also addressed the pain point of the development. Yes. Now I mean, not going into the name of the entity and all, but then of course it is visible anyway. And then, yeah, this is an automation of audit. By automation of audit, what I mean, I'll just put it before you in slide show. Anyway, this is not my system. So it's a completely modular approach where we can configure our audit, and it is not specific to any audit. It is not specific to financial audit or operations audit. It is not specific to statutory audit or internal audit. It is not specific to income tax audit or GST audit. It is totally regulatory agnostic. It is totally domain agnostic. It is neutral across all the domains. In a sense, you can define your own checklist. You can define your own rules of audit. You can define your own ways of analyzing it, and it automates. So just I'll take it step by step. So there is a module on data collection, there is a module on data analytics. One of the most pain points of the chartered accountant profession is we are all signing from 2000 the internal control over the financial reporting framework, stating that the entity had got a system in place, and we have made a sufficient check of that, and we are satisfied that there exists a framework which prevents the risk. And it is a mandatory annexure, or rather mandatory part of our audit report. Okay. So there is a dedicated module on the process capture and the process risk and the process risk assessment. There is a module on substantial testing, audit documentation, and office management. I will only touch upon 3 areas. There are 16 areas. I just want to touch upon 3 areas today. How to organize the audit, the data analytics that it provides, and the risk assessment. So when it comes to organizing the audit, it comes, or we can create any number of checklists or a questionnaire that we want. Okay. So you can see here, there are number of questionnaires or number of checklists that we want to. And what we can do is, once we collect the data, we can scope the data to a given checklist or a given questionnaire, whatever it is, audit tool. So I have got advances on the backdrop, you can see there. Now I have selected a sample, 11 and 12 are selected as a sample. Now I am putting it to some questionnaire by name, going concern, or whatever it is. And then I can also specify it has to be done by whom and to be approved by whom. So there is an audit planning and work allocation happening automatically. Okay. So automatically in the dashboard of Mr. Pawan, these sample of 11 and 12 over those many questions, let us say it is having 10 questions. So 2 into 10, 20 questions will be the pending items in the name of Pawan, and the 20 will get escalated to Mr. Approver by name ASP. Just like how a banker is not doing the banking somewhere and then accounting it in another accounting package. Like typically how the manufacturing concerns, they do the business and at the end of the day they go to the tally and account it or record it. Whereas it is a real time where we do the audit in the system itself. It is happening in the system itself. Now when it comes to another beautiful part of it is, having defined a checklist, we can also define the internal rule framework. Here the power of automation comes to play. In a sense, I can say that in case, see there is a checklist, let us say tax audit checklist. In a checklist, if these two things come, if this set of left side I am having, if this context happens, that means if there is a change in the constitution and some other sections are applicable, if that is yes, the first one is yes and the second one is no and the third one is yes, in that typical combination, let this checklist get triggered automatically. Now I can say if there is an import and if it is of a service, then an RCM checklist should get automatically triggered. Now if I say I have supplied to a SEZ and it is without payment of tax, I can trigger that automatically, some checklist has to get triggered. Okay. Now if I say that there is a so much of a turnover and then there is so much of a borrowing, then automatically an audit committee and a woman director checklist has to get triggered. So the possibilities are seamless, so that we can configure in such a way we can define the rule. There is another rule. So therefore it is not only a static checklist where we are writing yes, no kind of a thing, but we are also defining the interplay of the answers. Like in such a particular combination of yes and no, this particular checklist should get automatically triggered. So I don't know which demon it is, Mahishasura, I think. So once one blood drop falls off, another Mahishasura springs up. So it's something like that where if you are done with the checklist, maybe it is boring or maybe it is gamification to the article students, I don't know. If you are done with their checklist, automatically 2 more checklists will pop up automatically. So the audit unwinds automatically. Okay. And besides that, there is also a function of marketplace because nobody can exhaust the amount of checklists that can be given. So there is again a marketplace where, just like Premnath sir had said, the major problem that we are facing on this is that there are no active users who can put their professional time to experiment, who can put their professional time to draft a checklist, who can really, if you take income tax TDS chapter itself, we can put so many interlinks that if it is a contract, 194C, even in the contract if it is a transporter, then again another checklist where 10 lorries are there, 10 vehicles are there or not. Okay. So much, and if it is done at one place, it can be transported to the marketplace and where all other people can also use. Okay. But then it is having taken all the time to develop, what I feel is development is very easy, but to get active content and the active usage is a real difficult part. Okay. Now going forward, yeah. Just like our audit maturity model, and I can go to the live also to some extent. There's a small, like mini constraints, there is a time constraint. Yeah, this is how the dashboard looks like. And it prompts you how many works are pending. Now I have logged in as one particular user, at the top logged in as ASP. Now I know that I have got 178 items pending on my name. So if I click deep onto that, I will know where from that are stemming up. Like my points are coming up, 27 points are from checklist. So if I click further deep onto that, I know which checklists are pending on my name. So there are 2 checklists which I have to answer. Now if I go to answer them, it will prompt me to answer them. So therefore, the office is organized automatically. And you can see there is a trigger button there, which to relate back, yeah. So this is where there is a question and the user has to give the answer to yes and no and to give a descriptive answer here, to attach an attachment here. What happens is, it fires up automatically to the next checklist. And if you see, there should be a prompt of pending action. There should be a prompt of a flag. That is what it drives. Okay. So this is one part of automation. Okay. And then I'll go to next part of automation in the form of data analytics. Yeah. So any emphasis on data analytics is an underemphasis to say so, because the amount of data analytical capabilities we are able to stratify with a click of a button. Now, Sharanji had said that macro is a old style of coding, because Excel had come up with a powerful way that where if you write the code once, it will appear on the right hand side, Power Query. So it's a pipeline of queries. Those queries are written, made it into a capsule and ordered to rerun on their own. Okay. So we are taught a machine learning algorithm which says like YOLO, you only look once. So I borrowed that and I put YODO, you only do once. So in this, what is happening is, we are only doing once. Let us say I will take one data set, advances on the top. So if I go ahead, there is a header on the top. I can run any query that I want. So I am saying where advances or greater than, less than, this kind of an Excel kind of a queryability, which we can query it out. And having queried, that is where the audit comes in. What is the problem with a neutral analytical software is like Excel or some other NIME or what happens idea is that there are standalone Tableau or Power BI is that there are standalone analytical machines. Having done the analytics, what to do next? Now what happens is if I have drawn certain analytical query, I got a sample here. Now what I can do with the sample, you can see the things there, I can scope them to a particular audit function. Like on this sample, this checklist has to be applied. It could be GST checklist or it could be ISO kind of a checklist or an operations checklist. Doesn't matter. Okay, or I can mark them as a risk, where on a risk scaling of 6, 1 to 10, the concentration risk is 5 or the related party risk is 4. Okay. So, yeah. Another thing is pipeline. Just like Excel is coming up with a pipeline, so there is a pipeline which is very, very important step of automation. Okay. You only do once. See here I am writing a rule. See I am configuring a rule and I am saying the system that wherever the sanctioned amount is greater than 2 lakhs and wherever the sanctioned date is falling in this quarter, wherever the borrower names contains limited, wherever the rate of interest is less than 4, and you can go on like that. So I have written 5 or 6 rules and I have given it a name. Like some chess moves used to have certain names like Sicilian defense and all. So like that you can name it as in your own name. Like
To just add it, very particular, when we go for an audit, procurement to pay, there are no policies at all. Now, how do I select a sample? There are no policies, procedures and all. It's a huge risk. So this kind of writing is trying to generate a red flag. What is a red flag? Say more than 1 crore of purchases, no tenders are called for, no quotations are called for. So how do you generate a red flag for? How do you define a red flag? Same product, multiple suppliers, different rates is a red flag. So that such kind of red flags are generated in this kind of data analytics. You can do this even in your Excel, but writing that is little bit difficult. So I am just telling you one red flag in purchases. That is, multiple suppliers are there, single product, multiple rates. And there are multiple suppliers having common shareholders. These are all the risks which you can identify out of a large data running into millions of rows. So we can't do that such kind of audit manually, but if you can define this kind of red flags and store this and use across, like Sharan will develop a red flag and give it to us. Any number of audits you use it, the audit will be completed in no time. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So I can configure that rule. And Sharan ji had said about stratification, which is very, very important because we cannot spend our energies neutrally or at an equal rate because the amount of priority that each voucher or each bucket requires is different. Otherwise, we are just burning out the energy waste. So what it is it will stratify with all, with a very simple user interface. I want to make sanctioned amount into 10 buckets. You can choose a bucket size into 12 or whatever. So automatically it will take all the sanctioned amounts and then distribute it in 10 different strata. So if you can see, the first pillar is occupying almost 80%. Okay. So therefore it is a matter of interest, definitely. And then if you see, there are very stray outliers, 3 standing at a very far off, which means that they are aloof, they are far off from the happening place. So they are to be suspected, and we know the culture of this data in one go. So what is that we have to do? We have to select sanction amount and say 10 buckets or 12 buckets, or you can also define the bucket size. It automatically. Not only that, you will also know the distribution of the data, how the data is distributed. Okay. So based on that, you can concentrate your audits in a. And the major point that all NEFRA, QRB and peer review are coming heavily or in any test function for that matter is, how you have drawn the sample, okay, without any bias. If tomorrow, if anything falls apart, then we are called upon to produce the evidence, how you have drawn the sample, why this sample, why not any other sample. Okay. If you are able to know which sample we have drawn, that itself is an achievement, because the question dates back to some 5-6 years backward. Now in this, what is happening is, whatever the query that you are making on a system and asking the systems to say, it is getting saved automatically. So there is a log that is happening automatically. You can see here, there is a log 250, then tunnel down to 10, then tunnel down to 7. We are motivated by the approach of this capital line and then prowess, where in the international taxation, the analytics is done this way. Okay, transfer pricing. So the transfer pricing we do this kind of a data analysis. So therefore, how I have drawn my sample, and on that sample, what is the audit work that was executed? It is useless to spend our energies on all of these things, because we are there to take an audit decision. We are there to have a professional skepticism and then to take a corrective course of action. Okay. And I take 2 minutes on this process, because process is very, very important. Okay. It is not the mistake that matters now. It is the vulnerability of the system that we are auditing, because anyway we cannot exhaust the total of the population in any company. In the form of internal control or financial reporting, our audit says that leave that whether there is a mistake or not, there is a system, an infallible system is in place which prevents. Okay. But then I am not saying, or I am not using a broad brush, but it is more a ritualistic practice. That is what we get to see, because in a given time it is impossible for us, or rather there is no proper approach. So what it provides is, you can create a process, you can capture the process on an as-is basis. Now here I see there is an acquisition of fixed asset. I have captured the process that is followed by the company. Okay. Let us, they are calling for requisition request. This we have to capture. In a sense, we have to copy paste or whatever. Then the next step is, there are certain icons which allow us to create or to identify the risk and record the risk. This is IS framework that Indian accounting, the guidance note on risk-based audit approach is mandating this. So I have found certain risk, the risk of a single tender, the risk of allotment to a related party, the risk of inadequate due diligence, the risk of inadequate KYC. And for all of that risk, I am coming up with the probability and the scale of impact. That way my risks are quantified. If we have a tool, and if our energies are not dissipated unnecessarily, we can definitely control. At least the office is continuing AGM to AGM. In first quarter we can cover 10 or 15 processes. Second quarter we can, in a staggered manner, we can definitely cover the processes. And doing this conscious will make a conscious attempt to identify, and it also make the auditing work better. Because if you say we are doing process audit for 3 years in a row, what more will be left for the 4th year? Automatically it will fall in place. And then the visualization as a heat map. We must know where our heat is getting concentrated. And this map, the structure of the map is also borrowed from guidance note on risk IS framework of ICAA. So what it says is, on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, that is of course customizable, on what is the least risk to high risk, least controlled or best control to least control. So on a grid of this, I am knowing where my risks are scattered. So I have seen the legal risk, I have seen the inadequate due diligence or a single party allotment risk. I will know where my risk is, my scatter of the risk I will know. so that I can know where to spend my audit efforts more. And if we are able to give such a kind of a thing, and then we are supposed to maintain the risk register and the control register, all of them are automated. Now what is happening is with an ERP kind of an approach, where every system is connected, where this is a framework, so where my configuration, and I am configuring here, my data collection, my data analytics, and the preparation of the financial statements. So if we upload the trial balance and say the mapping rule, again we go back to the accounting principles, YODO, you only do once. So once you do the mapping that this ledger account goes to this part of the balance sheet, next year it is like seamless. Upload the trial balance, not only that, if you upload 12 monthly trial balances, it will give summation of all the 12 monthly. Now if you upload Vijayawada trial balance and then Hyderabad trial balance, it consolidates and prepares the balance sheet at one go. And the ratio analysis and all is automated. Of course, in the interest of time, I am just skipping it off. So the internal control, the substantial testing, the beautiful part of that is, now what is happening is when I am recording my findings here, and there is a trial of the finding, right from the way it is captured to the last step, then automatically my findings are all mapped. So let us say if I go to Carol, by the way, all reports are also configurable, they are not hard, it could be a custom report also, not a statutory report, so as to say. Okay, let us say I go to this 31C, yeah, I just last minute. So I am going to this report, 31C, whether the title deeds are there or not. Now I want to see all the findings, all the audit notes pertaining to that paragraph. Means, what are all the findings where the flag is to this. So if I click on the current year findings, I will know where all the findings are. Now what is the same finding, corresponding finding under this paragraph of last year? So the opening balance, the convention of opening balances is not in the numbers, it is also in the reports also. So we must look back our own report of the last year. So what are all the previous year findings, that is of 1920, we are in 2021. So I can see the 1920 findings. And what is the report I have given in the last year? What is the industry practice on this? So and so company has given so and so. What is the guidance note saying? Institute guidance note saying? And if I have to give a report, there is another pain point. We cannot draft from the scratch. So if you have a modeled answer, let us say I am having moderate answer. So automatically the moderate answer comes up, you can modify it to your taste or the requirement. Okay. So therefore everything comes to one place, and last one is the documentation. Now if we are doing an audit through an automated approach, then there is no question of documentation at all. Because the way it is sampled, the way it is allocated, and the way who have done that, and the way of the progress is all done in the system. So if I ask to click here and generate the final documentation, of course it will take a time. So in the interest of time, I am just showing a document that is already generated. Yeah, this one. So you can see there is a 655 page document generated out of the system. So if I go here, is the statutory audit of Indian Pharma 1920. So this is a document, 655 page document or whatever the page number. It's automatically generated by the system. So if you want to see the engagement team who have worked on that, click on the engagement team, go to that. Okay. So no more 60-day post audit to document, and it will never happen. In fact, we have the next 60 days are not holidays. We are having another work to do. So what is audit population that we have checked through? What is the materiality definition we have applied? Okay, I can go here and say the materiality threshold. The audit materiality threshold, yeah. The gross turnover is 12 crore 50. I have taken 1% as my materiality definition. It comes to 12 and I have reduced it further. So 10 lakh is my materiality. As far as P&L is concerned, 15 lakh is my materiality when balance sheet is concerned. So what happens is any audit finding recorded by your audit staff, if the aggregate of that exceeds 15 lakhs, it is red flag. So we were taught one thing in the audit, in the automation, anything that gets measured gets done. Okay. anything that gets digital can get automated. Last but not the least, you can see the communication part of that, the sample which were drawn, and lastly, how we have drawn the audit sample. I have shown the analytical log. Now you can see the analytical log on the audit population being advances, where the number is greater than so and so, fetching 10 records, on which we have applied this particular audit exam. Okay. So this is one attempt that is being made, and almost we are able to get through some critical user base as well. But then what is happening is, can we put such a structured audit in place? It requires a cultural shift both from us and the auditee, and we have to take out our time and invest. Thanks, and sorry for crossing because it is already a jam-packed session. I am also ending of the next speaker calling. Yeah, please.
To sum up, finally to sum up, we have seen in the when we walk into the banks, you don't find a chartered accountant sitting in the entrance. You don't even find a BCom or an MCom guy sitting in the bank. You find all engineers working at the lower bottom. Why? Because the banking practices are all customized. It really doesn't require a chartered accountant or a person who has a commercial knowledge to operate. Meaning, if we can generate such kind of softwares, today we need not rely on an article student. We are relying on the article student because he is trying to select samples on his own. He is validating data, he is picking up data, he is analyzing, he is generating everything. But if a tool which can carry out the bottom level, which is done by a large people, by a technology, we don't require a chartered accountant even at the lower level. So this is the lesson that we need to understand. More and more customization you try to do, you can avoid costly labor at the lower bottom, and higher amount of judgments can be done by the top level, which is again, which may not be structured. Those things only we can keep it. Where whatever we can structure, let the structure do it. That's what P.R. Ramesh, I heard him somewhere in 93 or 94, he was saying, when technology was starting, he said, let us do what technology cannot do it. So let technology, whatever technology can do it, let technology can do it. Let it allow us to do it. So that is what is the final say that I can say. Thank you very much for your very patient listening.
Thank you very much, sir, Slow Professor and Charan sir, for enlightening us about automation of small and medium-sized firms. Now, I request CA V.S. Sudhir sir to felicitate the speakers of the session, CA Prerna D and CA Siva Prasad Gandavartu with a memento and Shala. I will, and for being such an eminent audience. We will now break for a tea, which will be followed the next and final session for the day. I request all members to kindly join for tea, and next session will resume after 10 minutes.